Good evening, committee, members of the public, those joining us online. Welcome to House Labor, Health and Social Services Committee. I'll call this meeting to order at 6:25 p.m. Mr. Caldwell, if you call the roll.
Representative Clouston.
Here.
Representative Guggenmoss.
Here.
Representative Heft.
Here.
Representative McCann.
Here.
Representative Ottman.
Here.
Representative Thayer.
Present.
Representative Wasserberger.
Here.
Representative Yen. Chairman Rodriguez Williams. Madam Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Ladies and gentlemen who are joining us in the audience and online, the same rules of decorum apply this evening that were mentioned this morning. We are going to continue where we left off this morning on the bill, and I believe where we left off was we heard a public comment from the audience on House Bill 126. And we had some folks that were still online waiting to testify. If they are with us, we'd open up public comment to them. And if we'll need you to raise your hand, and Mr. Caldwell will let you in one at a time. Good evening. Please state your name and we'll hear your testimony on House Bill 126.
Burrington, Wyoming. I stand adamantly against this bill. But it seemed from the testimony I was hearing today that the main purpose, the reason this is supported by people is because of their religion. And I find it interesting because the evangelicals were for abortion when Roe v. Wade was first decided. They didn't change their mind until 7 years later, when they realized it would be a really good wedge issue for peeling off votes from the Democratic Party. But it also was the start of a campaign to preach it in churches all across the nation. So you heard it, that the Bible is pro-life. It isn't. It just isn't. I mean, when thou shalt not kill referred only to your fellow male tribal members. You were ordered, in fact, to kill your own disobedient children. And if you caused a miscarriage for a pregnant woman, it was a minor fine. It was be like a $5 or $10 fine today. But if you hurt the woman who was the husband's property, you had to pay him a much larger fee. There is a recipe and a prayer to cause an instant miscarriage in case the woman has committed adultery. So God was just picky about who the father was, not protecting every fetus, that's for sure. And then shortly after the command, thou shalt not murder, is God ordered the Israelites to go out and commit genocide on other communities, ordering them to slaughter cats, dogs, sheep, goats, babies, little boys, the little girls they could keep for sex slaves. But when it came to pregnant women, they were ordered to slice them open, pull the fetus out, and smash it on the rocks. That just doesn't sound like a real pro-life God to me. And the whole Old Testament is full of stories like this. The New Testament, which is what Christianity is supposed to be based on, Jesus said absolutely nothing about abortion, nothing. But he was quite specific about judging other people for their sexual behavior. Like when they brought the woman to him and said, well, whoever's without sin, cast the first stone. He also said that those who don't feed the poor, clothe the naked, and heal the sick will be banished to hell. So your religion doesn't back you up. So please just make your decisions based on data and facts and the women. But this heartbeat bill, it's not a heart. It's a line of cells that can develop into a heart, but it's still a long way from becoming a 4-chambered heart that is pumping any kind of fluid. So I stand firmly against the bill, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Committee, any questions of Ms. Shaver? Okay, seeing none, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Taya Albrecht. I'm a private citizen from Teton County, and I'm here to voice my opposition to House Bill 126. Like all heartbeat bills, it is intended to override medical consensus and ascribe fetal personhood 18 weeks before viability. I'm speaking to you as a mother and as a woman who is currently 36 weeks into her second pregnancy. The decision to carry a pregnancy in Wyoming at all while the issue of bodily autonomy was being challenged on this floor last year was a harrowing one. If something went wrong, would I be able to find a doctor here who would put themselves at legal risk to save my life? We need only to look at Texas for where bills like this lead, the criminalization and sometimes even death of women who have miscarried in favor of preserving theoretical life that would have no chance of survival outside the mother's body. I held these reservations as a 39-year-old white woman of reasonable means who wanted to be pregnant. I can only imagine the emotional and psychological state of a younger person facing the same dilemma from within a completely different set of circumstances. Abortion's constitutionality and status as healthcare was upheld by the Wyoming Supreme Court this January. Yet here we are again, 6 weeks later, fighting another spate of unconstitutional bills that privilege early fetal personhood over living patients and challenge the right of women to make their own healthcare decisions. Repeated attempts to ban abortion in this state by dogged introduction of bills like this, which go against actual medical findings, do nothing but harm Wyoming. They endanger women at every stage of pregnancy. They deepen our maternity care crisis by discouraging OBGYNs from practicing here, and they drive young people out of Wyoming and towards states that uphold their right to bodily autonomy, states that will allow them to terminate unwanted pregnancies or dangerous pregnancies or pregnancies in which the fetus is found to have fatal abnormalities, or any number of other scenarios that might lead a person toward a completely private decision that is none of the government's business. If the state wants to assume responsibility for pregnant people, why not advance something like HB 64, which would have increased Medicaid reimbursement rates for obstetric care, but which failed here just last week? I urge the committee to vote no and to turn its attention to lawmaking that is actually intended to help the pregnant people of Wyoming within the parameters of established law. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Albrecht. Committee, any questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you for joining us. Next, we have
This is Elliot Hinkle.
Yeah, welcome. Please state your name and we'll hear your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Good afternoon. My name is Elliot Hinkle. I'm a resident of Casper, and I'm here in opposition to House Bill 126. I want to start by naming something that feels deeply inconsistent. Wyoming is often described as a state that values freedom, and we even amended our constitution to protect individual liberty in our healthcare decisions. And yet, this bill moves us further into government control over deeply personal medical decisions. I would go so far as to say legislating non-consensual acts against women's bodies. If we're going to regulate people's bodies this intensely, I have to ask, why is that regulating so narrowly focused? Why are we comfortable writing policy that directs what women can or cannot do with their own bodies, but we do not see parallel legislation holding men to the same level of scrutiny or accountability? Where are the bills concerning men ejaculating without creating a child or forcing men to get vasectomies, regardless of if they want to? Pregnancy does not happen in isolation, yet the regulatory burden falls almost entirely on one person's body. That imbalance raises serious questions about fairness, consistency, and equal responsibility. I, for one, appreciate folks being accountable for what they're responsible for, but these bills seem to have missed that this session. I'm looking for the bills that are regulating men's bodies as well. Beyond that, it concerns me that decisions of this magnitude are being made for people you will never meet, people who will live with the medical, financial, and emotional consequences long after this session ends. We're in a OBGYN desert in Wyoming, and people will also be living with that as more providers leave this state. Children and grandchildren will live under the laws that you pass here, and we should be very careful when the state inserts itself into private healthcare decisions without clear evidence-based justification. At a minimum, I would hope for policy grounded in consistent principles. Either we truly believe in personal freedom and limited government, or we do not. HB 126 moves us away from those values. So for those reasons and many more, I urge you to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Committee, any questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you for joining us. All right, that will conclude online testimony committee. I will close public comment. Committee, what is your pleasure on House Bill 126? The bill has been moved by Representative Gugemas, seconded by Representative Heft. We'll go ahead and work the bill. Amendments, discussion. Representative Thayer.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yeah, in front of you, I had laid out an amendment to include rape or incest. So if I walk you through on page, excuse me, page 5, we would just insert line 2 as provided by Wyoming statute 35-6403B, page 6, line 6. We would, after apply if, we would then change the Romanettes and go down, and then on page 6, after line 13, it would be number 2. The pregnancy is a result of rape or incest, in which case a licensed physician may terminate the pregnancy, provided that the termination of the pregnancy shall be in the manner that provides the best opportunity for the unborn child to survive.
Okay, we have a amendment that has been moved by Representative Thayer. Is there a second?
One second.
Okay, second by Representative Clouston. And Mr. Caldwell, you have a copy?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, committee discussion on the amendment. Representative Heft.
Guess I'm a little bit confused with this amendment. This is an informed consent bill. I don't believe the amendment fits in an informed consent bill.
Further discussion on the amendment?
Madam Chairman,
Representative Thayer.
thank you, Madam Chairman. So this is the House Bill 126 Human Heartbeat Act bill. And it actually is just inserting language. There's already language on page 6 if there is a medical emergency existing. So this would just expand the definition of the medical emergency.
Further
Or
discussion?
another option.
Representative McCann.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This last part of this amendment, it's a little confusing. I think we're trying to give permission to do termination of the pregnancy, but the last sentence seems to say the best opportunity for the unborn child to survive.
Representative Thayer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chairwoman. Yes, I would ask for a friendly amendment. I got this in between the afternoon session, and so I would like to ask for a friendly amendment that ended at that of the pregnancy shall be in the ending on at that a period on line 12 after the termination of the pregnancy and everything else.
So Representative Thayer on line 12, after the word pregnancy, everything after that is stricken?
Stricken, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a a change to the amendment. Mr. Caldwell, you have that?
Just to confirm, that would be on the amendment, we're amending that amendment so that on line 12, after the word pregnancy, we're striking the remainder of the amendment?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and you had a second, Representative Clouston. Okay, that deems it a friendly amendment to the amendment. Okay, further discussion on the revised amendment. Representative Clouston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If someone could pull up the statute 35-6-403B, just so we know what that language is.
We'll wait for Representative Thayer. It looks like she's doing it. And the bill sponsor, you're welcome, Speaker Nyman, to come on up if you have any input on any of the proposed amendments that the committee provides. Representative Thayer.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So Wyoming statute 6, oh, it pulled up the wrong one. I apologize. Had it. Try that again.
We'll move on with discussion. Vice Chairman Otten.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I think that's part of the created. So it's not in statute if it's created in this bill. Is that right?
No.
Further discussion on the amendment? Representative Gugamas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On and against the amendment, a life is a life, no matter how it came to be. Now, it is a very ugly situation if it is in the case of rape or incest. But I have heard too many stories of people, of women who decided to carry that child and to have that child, and how that became a huge blessing and turned a horrible incident into an incredible one that God redeemed that whole situation. So I think to cut that life short when it is not that child's fault at all is wrong. So on and against.
Further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Representative Clouston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes. The last comment, I agree with you. I'm just curious on what that statute is and if it would be something that maybe we would want to divide the amendment and keep the other definition in, or so that was just really my question. Thank you.
Further discussion on Representative Thayer's amendment? Okay. Representative Thayer, would you like to say anything?
No. Madam Chairman, at this time, I retract my amendment.
Okay, the amendment has been withdrawn. Further amendments on House Bill 126. Discussion on House Bill 126. Okay, see none, question being called. Mr. Caldwell, if you call the roll on House Bill 126.
This is a roll call vote for House Bill 126. Representative Clouston,
Aye.
Representative Gugamas,
Aye.
Representative Heft,
Aye.
Representative McCann,
Aye.
Representative Ottman,
Aye.
Representative Thayer,
No.
Representative Wasserberger,
Aye.
Representative Yen has left an absentee vote form of no. Chairman Rodriguez Williams.
Aye.
Madam Chairman, that is 7 aye and 2 no.
Okay, House Bill 126 has passed committee. We have no further business on the agenda. The meeting is adjourned.